So, welcome to day number 3 of the shelter in place in California, at least. So, a couple of things I just wanted to touch on, and a couple of learnings, and maybe some questions to sit with. One of the biggest learnings is we just started a daily meditation session um, that where 25 or so of us meet every morning and we meditate, and then we set an intention for the day or express how we're feeling, what's alive for us. And that has been completely rewarding to just sit with people virtually. And I'm quite used to doing this here at the temple, where you go down and you're with people there to your left and right, and you can feel their bodily presence. But the virtual thing adds a level of aloneness that I think is helpful for the practice, that can be helpful for the practice. So with that, we also, at my company, we started doing meditation every morning, every day as well. So a lot of meditation, and it's amazing how many people are showing up to support themselves and to support each other. And so there are a few hints that this moment for us, the next few weeks or months, that coronavirus will be present with us, that we could actually use it as a way to deepen our practice, as a way to show up with presence that isn't anxious, that isn't afraid of the uncertainty. So it's not a solution. It's not going to solve the fact that things are uncertain. In fact, it's more focused on the reaction to the uncertainty. And so some of us are tightening up, and we're embodying that in our presence. So when we show up to a meeting or are just talking with a loved one, a lot of times we might catch ourselves slipping into complaining and talking about the uncertainty and talking about the ridiculousness of the whole situation, talking about how we're constrained, feeling constrained. And that is one way to go through this. But I'm not sure if I took a poll that would be the most popular choice, as a voluntary choice to not only go through the shelter in place, but also to suffer through it more by mentally adding on. And it's not that we're mentally adding on, it's our habitual patterns that keep surfacing and that are being made manifest in this time of uncertainty. And uncertainty has a way of doing that. Now, I say uncertainty, but in reality, there's a quote by the Buddha that goes, all supports have no support, because they rely on another support, which relies on another support, which is all impermanent. So therefore, we're kind of always on shaky ground. But sometimes it's made more explicit that we are certainly standing on ground that's not reliable. And I think coronavirus is one of those moments. And as I said yesterday, it's also a lesson in interconnectedness and the pros and cons of that. The interconnectedness is beautiful in the sense that we're all connected, and we're all trying to be aligned, trying to do the right things, but it also shows how vulnerable we are. How a virus that doesn't discriminate by any arbitrary line called a border, it just goes through and cuts through all of that, all of our fragmentations, all of the way that we think the world should be sliced, the virus doesn't. It doesn't respect those categories, because ultimately the reality is we are all much more similar than we are different. And sometimes I think the problem is we're almost too similar. And our brain neurobiologically is trained to see the contrasts, the differences, rather than the overlap. And that's our perception, right? And the way we create a sense of self is to create a sense of other. It is a process that is the other side of I am me, has to be that is not me. So it comes with the property of owning or thinking you own and are a self. And so during these times, we have a chance to really see that no self, to see, in a way, our being kind of play out. So you're likely going to be at home more than you usually are, so it's a great time to observe yourself being yourself. Different traditions call it different things. It's been called witness consciousness. It's been called the observer. It's been called awareness. And no matter the definition or technical terms, the main point is to observe without discrimination, without evaluation. And that's why we train in meditation. Meditation is literally the practice of observing what comes up in consciousness. And there's some nuance there, but in general, that's what we're looking at. And there is this kind of bias towards thinking that if you're just observing, you're not doing anything. But in reality, there's a kind of effortless action that can come out of observing yourself deeply. But it's not something you can know ahead of time. Like, what results am I going to get from this? I need guaranteed results. We often think in terms of effort and outcome. What is the outcome of my effort? But in these times, when we feel tight and anxious, we should look to have some faith, and this is kind of the leap of faith we have to take, that by observing, by knowing thyself, you might be on the road to liberation. It's not guaranteed when, how, where, but ultimately we have faith that it's going to be worthwhile. And then as we get deeper into the practice, we find out that even that's a contradiction. But just to start out, we can start out by saying, I want to really know myself, not by all the fragments and conceptual extra stuff that we define ourselves. I'm a man, I'm a cook, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a programmer, a software engineer, I'm a good guy, I'm a bad guy, I'm a good girl, I'm a bad girl. Not by those. It's in the way that you're going to know yourself through meditation and looking inwards, and really any contemplation practice, is you're going to find out that, like Walt Whitman said, that you're going to find out that you contradict yourself because of the fragmented self idea of yourself, that you are this, you're a good person, so you would never do X, but then you find yourself thinking about X. and then you get all evaluative and critical about yourself, and that doesn't really work out. And so there's this part of you that you really like, and you accept in a way, and you think that's the real you. And then there's these other parts of you, like, oh, the terrible parts of me, I don't want to see them, you hide from them. But the reality is, it's all you. Do I contradict myself? Fine then, I contradict myself. I contain multitudes. And so let's sit with that today to really inspect and challenge ourselves as we spend more time by ourselves. Can we look deep, look inwards, not through a lens of psychotherapy or archetypes or stereotypes, none of those things. Really look and watch the thoughts, the sensations, the perceptions, the patterns, the feelings. Watch it arise in yourself. Watch yourself being you. So that's the challenge. And if you'd like, you can come on our meditation session on Zoom tomorrow. It's every day at 8 a.m. to 8:30. And we'll sit and then set intentions. And you can tell us how your practice is going and how's it feeling. So please be safe and take care of yourselves and take care of the people around you, and the people a bit further away.